You know, it's funny how some of the most common words we use every single day have these meanings that are, well, way deeper and honestly more surprising than we think. And today we're going to dive right into the source code of two huge ones, Islam and Muslim. Okay, so right off the bat, we've got a really fascinating puzzle on our hands. On one side, you have the common understanding, right? Islam is a specific religion founded in the 7th century. But on the other side, you have how the Quran, the source text itself, seems to talk about it, which is as this universal state of being, simply the surrender. So what's going on here? How do we possibly bridge that gap? All right, to solve this, we've got to go back to the very beginning. We need to look at the linguistic source code of these words. See, in Arabic, most words are built from a simple three-letter root. And if you can understand that root, well, that's the key to unlocking the original meaning of everything. So the root we're talking about is SLM. You can think of this as the actual DNA of the words we're investigating. It's the building block. And throughout the Quran, this one root gives us words like salam, which of course means peace, but it also gives us the verb aslama, which means to surrender or to yield yourself completely. So right away, you see the core ideas are all tied together: peace, wholeness, and surrender. Okay, now check this out. Here's our first major piece of evidence straight from the text. The verse says the ideal way of life, the deen, is al-islām. Now, that little prefix al, that's just the Arabic word for the. It's a definite article. And what that does is it suggests a state or a condition, the surrender, not a proper name, like just Islam. And we see it again here. The text says God has chosen for you al-islām as a way of life. See how that frames it? It's an action, a state of being that you can actually choose to enter. It's not about just signing up for an organization or slapping on a label. The key thing to get here is that it's describing a state, not just a name. Okay, so let's move on to our next big clue. We've looked at the concept, Islam. Now let's look at the person, the Muslim. And Muslim literally just means one who is in a state of surrender. And trust me, what we find here is genuinely surprising. So the word Muslim pops up 41 times in the Quran. But here's the twist, and it's a big one. It isn't just used for the followers of the Prophet Muhammad. In fact, it's used all the time to describe these huge figures who lived centuries, heck, even millennia before he was ever born. I mean, just look at this. The Quran actually calls Noah one of the Muslimin, which is the plural, the ones who surrender. It shows Abraham praying to God to make him a Muslim. Moses tells his own people to rely on God if they are Muslim. And get this, even the disciples of Jesus declare, bear witness that we are Muslimun. They're all described as being in that very same state of surrender. And this isn't just some cherry-picked, isolated thing. The pattern is incredibly consistent. We're talking about the sons of Jacob, the Queen of Sheba after she has her moment of truth with Solomon, even Pharaoh's own magicians after they see what Moses can do. The text says they all enter the state of being a Muslim, a person who surrenders to a higher truth. And if there was any doubt, this verse right here just makes the point so explicitly. It says Abraham wasn't a Jew and he wasn't a Christian. I mean, those labels came way after him, right? But he was a Musliman, one who surrendered. I mean, the Quran couldn't be clearer here. It's using this word to describe a state of being that completely transcends our modern religious boxes. Okay, so we've seen all the evidence, but you have to ask, what's the point of all this? Why would the Quran use these words in such a specific and, frankly, universal way? This isn't just some linguistic trivia, you guys. It points to an absolutely profound core message. Well, here's the motive. If you read the Quran, one of the central themes that comes up again and again is this strong, consistent warning against sectarianism, against creating divisions between people based on religious labels. And this very specific linguistic choice seems to be directly tied to that very principle. And believe me, the text does not mince words on this. It says, flat out, that those who divide their fundamental way of life, their deen, and break up into sects, well, they're on the wrong path. It's a direct condemnation of the whole act of creating religious tribalism. And here's what's absolutely crucial. This command to stay united, it isn't presented as something new. According to this verse, the very same core instruction to establish this way of life and not be divided in it was given to Noah, to Abraham, to Moses, and to Jesus, right alongside Muhammad. It's presented as one single, continuous message throughout time. So let's wrap up our investigation here. On one hand, the traditional view says Islam is the name of a religion, and a Muslim is a follower of that religion. Simple enough.
But what a direct analysis of the Quranic text seems to show is something totally different. Islam isn't a name, it's the state of surrender to truth. And a Muslim isn't just a member of a group, but anyone from any time, any place who enters that state. And that leads us to the final and honestly really powerful implication of all this. From this perspective, the Quran isn't introducing a new competing religion called Islam. Instead, what it seems to be doing is calling all of humanity, no matter if they call themselves Jews or Christians or anything else, back to a shared, universal, and original path. And that path is just the simple, human act of surrendering to truth.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. What if the whole point of these words was never to create a new group identity or just another religious label to divide us? What if instead the goal was simply to give a name to a universal human choice? A choice that's available to every single one of us. The choice to surrender.